I could sense immediately this was going to be a tricky session. He looked at me with despair and he said, "You told me to talk to people to improve my relationships with them." I said, "I seem to remember I suggested more conversations, but yes, go on." So I did exactly what you said. I've talked and talked and talked, and you know what? If anything, those relationships have actually deteriorated if I think about it. I could have kicked myself. I should have seen this coming, of course. Yes, in fact, the best way to start improving and building and strengthening relationships with other people is through conversations. There's no doubt about that. If you don't believe me, just try not talking to somebody for a long period of time and see what that does to the relationship. Doesn't exactly improve it. Conversations have 3 parts. Very sort of technically, we call it advocacy and inquiry and listening, of course. So, telling people what you think, asking them what they think is a simplified version, and listening to the response. Counterintuitively, the listening part is somehow the most important part about the conversation and the relationship building. How we listen to other people determines how they perceive us. And so it's not about just listening, it's what we call active listening. And that means engaging with people when they tell us something. So let me show you a simple diagram. When people are telling us something or explaining something to us, we can respond in 4 different ways, basically. We can be active or passive, and we can be constructive or destructive. And that gives us 4 combinations of responding. So if I come into the office in the Monday morning, all keyed up, and I say to whoever I meet on the way and say, "I was out fishing all weekend," then a passive destructive response would be, okay, and the person works on. An active destructive response would be fishing. Oh God, how can you face that? That's a horrible way to spend the weekend. Oh, not encouraging either. And so I can be constructive, passive. I can say, oh, interesting, sounds fun, and I can move on. Or I can be active constructive. And if I'm active constructive, I will say, oh, fishing all weekend. That sounds fabulous. What did you catch? Where did you go? Tell me something more. And so what it boils down to, when we think about this and we look at the research behind this, there's only one way to improve the relationship with somebody else. And that is to be active constructive when they tell you something. To be active constructive in your listening. Now you're going to go, I don't have time for that. I may be on my way to a meeting and he wants to talk about his fishing. Yeah, okay. Then you just quietly say, sounds fascinating, fishing. I want to hear more about that. Let's grab a cup of coffee later today. If you want to improve the relationship. If you don't give a toss about the relationship, that's fine. Just go, okay. But it's not going to improve the relationship. That's my whole point around this. So it's really important to be more aware how we respond to other people in these conversations. So back to my coachee. So we had a little conversation around this. And as I ended up trying to explain, at the end of the day, better questions are the answer to his challenge in this respect. And you know what? That made me think of something. Peter Senge, I'm a big fan of Peter Senge. He wrote somewhere, a question is an investment in the relationship. Think about that. A question is an investment in the relationship. I love that. That's really good. If the question is genuine, if you are genuinely interested in another person, you express that interest, and that is an investment in that future relationship. Enough of that. If you're interested in learning some more about how to improve relationships at work and other good stuff, pop over to my library, mikehonan.com/library, and have a look. It's free, and there are lots of great resources. I hope to see you there. Bye-bye.